Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a story about a district in Lisbon that wasn't just built, it was literally reborn from total catastrophe. We're going to explore how a city can be forced to choose what it wants to become after the absolute worst day in its history.
See, to really get Baixa, you have to understand its opposite, Alfama. This is a tale of two districts, really. Alfama is that classic ancient maze of old Lisbon, the part that survived the disaster by sheer luck. But Baixa, that's what came next, and it wasn't about survival. It was about a conscious, radical choice.
Okay, picture this. It's November 1st, 1755. All Saints' Day. A truly catastrophic earthquake hits, and it's followed by a tsunami and then massive fires. The entire heart of Lisbon is just gone. The medieval center, the royal palace, centuries of history, wiped out. It created this terrifying absolute blank slate. So the man in charge of the reconstruction, the Marquis de Pombal, he makes this incredibly bold decision. Instead of even trying to recreate the chaotic city of the past, he saw this as a chance to impose a radical new vision on the rebel, a vision based on logic, reason, and control. This was going to be a city built for a brand new age. And his plan? Whoa! It was severe in its clarity. He rolled out one of the world's first large-scale grid systems. We're talking straight boulevards, uniform buildings. And get this, the streets were named not for saints or kings, but for pure function. Rua da Prata was for the silversmiths, Rua dos Sapateiros for the shoemakers. This was a city designed from the ground up to work. But here's the thing. This wasn't just about looking good or some lofty Enlightenment ideals. No, Pombal's #1 goal was profoundly practical. Build a city that could survive when, not if, the next disaster struck. Which, of course, brings up a huge question, right? How on earth do you make an entire district of stone buildings earthquake-proof in the middle of the 18th century? What was the secret sauce, the hidden innovation that made this whole new city so resilient? Well, the answer was this incredible piece of engineering called the Gaiola Pombalina, which basically means the Pombaline cage. It was a flexible wooden skeleton built inside the stone walls. The whole idea was for it to sway and distribute the energy of a tremor, letting the building bend and flex instead of just shattering. And you're gonna love this. To test this revolutionary design, they didn't just cross their fingers and hope it would work. In a stroke of pure genius, they actually had troops march in unison around the prototypes to simulate the vibrations of an earthquake. I mean, how clever is that? Truly cutting-edge stuff for its time. Okay, so we've got the grand plan, we've got the genius engineering, but what does this vision actually feel like when you're on the ground? Let's take a walk through it, and we'll start right where the old city met the sea, at the massive square known as Praça do Comércio, or Commerce Square. Now, the very first decision they made here tells you everything you need to know. This exact spot, this is where the royal palace had stood for centuries. But they didn't rebuild it, and that was a very, very deliberate choice. Instead of a palace, you get this vast, wide-open plaza. Its sheer scale can feel a little overwhelming, almost uncomfortable. But that was exactly the point. It was a clear, powerful statement that Lisbon was no longer just a royal capital, but a capital of commerce, open to the entire world. All right, let's head deeper to the city's historic heart and its true pulse, Rocio Square. For centuries, this has been Lisbon's main meeting point. But as you walk into it, the perfect, orderly grid of the district is suddenly met with this surprisingly chaotic pattern right under your feet. This wavy, almost moving mosaic creates this dizzying, disorienting effect. And it's just this wonderful touch of irony, isn't it? A splash of visual chaos in the most rational, planned-out district in the city. It feels like a subtle nod to the untamable forces of nature that started this whole thing. Now, tucked away just off the square, there's a place that shows you how daily life just continues on within this grand design. It's a tiny bar, really not much more than a doorway, called Agendinha, and it serves just one thing. It's here that locals and tourists all take part in this quick 2-minute ritual. You stand there shoulder to shoulder, they hand you a little shot of ginginha, it's a sweet, syrupy cherry liqueur, and you drink it fast. It's not about lingering, it's just this little moment of shared tradition, and then you move on. Okay, now for one of the most striking sights in all of Baixa, a massive neo-Gothic cast-iron elevator.
It was designed by a student of Gustave Eiffel, and honestly, it looks like it was plucked from Paris and just dropped right into the heart of Lisbon. It's this beautiful, functional piece of industrial art connecting the lower city to the hills up above.
And when you get to the top, wow, the view is just stunning. You look down and Pombal's entire vision is laid out below you in perfect rational geometry. You can see the grid stretching all the way out towards the river, exactly as he planned it. But then you just turn your head and you're confronted with a starkly different, almost haunting sight. The roofless, skeletal arches of a ruined convent, outlined against the sky. This is the Carmo convent. It was destroyed in the 1755 earthquake. And here's the thing, it was intentionally never rebuilt. Its ruins were left right there as a scar on the skyline, a permanent, powerful monument to the very destruction that made Baixa necessary in the first place. And that right there, that brings everything full circle. You see, if Alfama is the place where Lisbon remembers what it was, a place of organic memory, then Baixa is the place where Lisbon made a conscious, deliberate decision about what it was going to become. So in the end, this entire district is just like those hidden wooden frames inside its walls, isn't it? On the surface, it looks solid, rigid, totally rational. But underneath it all, it was engineered for flexibility and for survival. It's a testament to choosing reinvention over ruin. And that really leaves us with a powerful question to think about. When a city gets the rare and tragic chance to begin again, what does it choose to value? What parts of its past does it let go of? And what kind of future does it decide to build?